Hello! Welcome back to the Renaissance and to the first episode of the GameScape Artist. That's me. My name is Tim, and I'm the creator of the YouTube channel The Renaissance. And until now, you've only heard my voice screaming at old Nintendo games. Well, my friends, that is changing today because this is the first episode of a new series all about my artwork. I am an artist, and some time ago I had the idea of combining two things that I love, painting and the scenery and the settings of a lot of the old games that I love. So at first I just started creating these things for fun for myself, but after I was showing what I was doing to some people, I kind of got encouraged to try and make a business out of it, to try to create custom paintings for fellow gamers or just for art fans in general. So in doing that, I wanted to start to document this creative process, have it be its own playlist on the channel so that people could see, the stages of the piece. They could hear my thought processes, and just to get a general overall progression of the painting from start to finish. By no means, though, I want to make this clear, am I the greatest painter? This isn't about teaching people how to paint, it's more just about just showing the creation of something fun and inspiring. And I really hope that you enjoy it and have some fun with it. So with that, let us get to work on our first piece. Okay, so what do we got here? This is a painting that was ordered by a guy in Montana. We follow each other on Instagram, and he's a big Zelda fan. This is Kakariko Village from Ocarina of Time. So as you can see, got everything pretty much blocked in here. Everything is where it needs to be. Colors are generally right. I just need to go through and do a lot of detail stuff. As you can see, here's the windmill. This is where the fans will be. I gotta put those in, obviously, and I gotta do some work on the tower there. I don't really like how that came out. But anyway, in this episode, what I'm gonna try to do is detail out the grass here, on both sides of the houses here, and detail it as it comes forward to give it some depth. I also am going to work on the houses, the roofs. Gotta put a lot of details on those, the tiles and such. And then lastly, probably in this episode, I'm going to try to go through this stone wall here and add in a bunch of details there, again, to make it very detailed up front, so it draws the eye in and gives the whole thing some depth. So that's the general plan, so let's get to work. Okay, so as we said, first things first, we're going to start with the grass here. What I should mention first, real quick here, I just added in this little sort of drop off in the land because if you see, there's a dip in the land here with this little ramp here, and it makes sense that the land up here is all the same level. So there is this little dip here in the land, so that'll just be sort of like a dirty drop off there. Not dirty, but it's made of dirt. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, grass. What are we gonna do? We're gonna start with the background grass with a lighter color, because typically things off in the distance are of a lighter value, and as they come forward, they will become darker, a little richer, and that again helps to create the depth in the painting. So I'm just going to start by kind of dabbing on some sort of highlights back here, just kind of give it some variation in texture and color, and as I come forward, it'll become darker. Okay, so now that we've created some texture and depth in this grass, I'm going to go through with this guy. Hello, Mr. Fanbrush. And I want to create some shadows in the grass, especially in the foreground. So this brush is great for that. I'm going to use a very dark color, mostly just green, yellow, and some black. And just kind of create, since we're in the foreground, tiny little shapes of blades. And this will be just like kind of the pockets of the shadow. Because when you look at grass, I mean, there's so much going on. The light's hitting it in so many different ways. There are shadows, there are highlights, there are midtones. So this is just going to be me kind of putting on the shadows throughout as randomly as possible. And then later I'll go through with other midtones, other greens, and then ultimately highlights to kind of give it a lot of leveling and a lot of structure and make it look like grass. Okay, so now at this point I've put in a lot of texture in the grasses, and now what I want to do is add even more detail to the closest grass up here with actual little like blades of grass. Again, I don't want the grass too long, but I want you to be able to see that it's grass in a little more detail. So I'm using this is what you call like a liner brush, it's got long bristles, and you can water down the paint to a point where it's actually like ink. And it's a little tricky to get the right consistency, but see what we can do here. Just kind of draw it out to a fine edge, and you come in here. Let's see. Let's start with like some dark grass like this. And then I'll go over it with different colors again. Same kind of idea as before, just now with a different stroke to actually show the blades of grass. Okay, so now what we're going to do, I'm going to paint the tiles of this dark roof here. And just to let you know, I'm using two, I don't know if I mentioned it before, I'm using two images as references for this whole painting. One is this one, I'll show here. This is the actual N64 version of the game, and the guy I'm painting this for was adamant about the colors being very vibrant, which I agree with, of course. So this is sort of the, it's giving me the color palette that I want to try to match. And then there's this picture, which I just found, and I like the angle of it. So as you can see, that's kind of the angle of my painting too. So, but color-wise, I'm going to try to match that. Okay, so now that we've got some roof action going on here, I've done a bunch of stuff on the roofs. I'll still go back and detail this out more, but I want to keep on going here. So what we're going to do now is the third kind of detail area of this episode, this stone wall here. So I hope you don't mind my foul language, but I'm going to detail the bejesus out of this wall. So let's start. Okay guys, well that is the end of the first episode of the GameScape Artist. I'm tired. I've been painting for a little while, but thank you so much for joining me. I think I'm pretty happy. I think I got everything I pretty much wanted to do for this episode, but there's still a lot of work to do, so come on back. If you liked this, obviously please consider subscribing and maybe click on those notifications so you won't miss any of the progress of these guys. And I did want to mention also, this is a new format for me, obviously, so any feedback is really appreciated. If you want to just leave me a comment, how does it look, how does it sound, all that kind of stuff, because I do want it to be as good as I can make it. And of course I should mention, if you're interested in having a painting done, you can reach me in one of a couple ways. One, I'm on Instagram. You can find me at the Renaissance channel, or you can just email me at therenaissance@gmail.com. So thanks a lot again, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye bye.